guys, welcome back to another episode of Sipping with shrmjk. How you guys doing today? If this is your first time watching me, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and stay for a while. If you're already subscribed and watched me before, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And when I say I appreciate you, I really appreciate you, y'all, because I'm almost to 700 subscribers. I'm super excited. But anyway, I'm coming on with a quick video to talk about this movie that's on Netflix called The Perfect Neighbor. If you have not watched it before, stop the video, come back after you've watched it, because I'm about to give y'all all the deets for the ones who have watched it, and see what y'all thought about it. What's y'all's opinion about it? And yeah, I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna go in. My eyes is probably still red from crying, but I'm gonna go in. Anyway, before you do that, let me know what you are sipping on. I got me two beverages over here. I got my water, and then I got my my adult beverage. Because I'm about to eat me some popcorn, my favorite, while I talk about this movie, okay? So anyway, there's this movie, and it's on Netflix, like I said, and it's called The Perfect Neighbor. Goodness. The Perfect Neighbor. It is this white lady that lives next door to, actually she don't even live next door. She lives across the street from this African American lady, okay? Did I say my blessing? God is good, God is great. Let me thank you for my food and meal. Lives across the street from this African American lady. A whole bunch of kids in the neighborhood. She don't like kids. She don't like kids. She don't like kids. So she calls the cops. She complains about everything. If the kids are too loud, if the kids are doing this, if they're on her property. Mind you, she lives in an apartment, so she has a shared space with another neighbor. But evidently that neighbor don't have kids. It's just the ones I seen across the street. So she's saying that she works from home. She had a headache. The kids was loud. Then they got quiet. She calls them all kind of names. The N-word, the F-word, the P, everything under the sun. So the African American, what's her name? That's AJ. AJ is her name. Single mother of 4. She has 4 kids. She works. People were saying that she's a good person. She wanted to do better by her kids. Like they go to a private school. They have different events that they, school activities that they do, and she makes sure she shows up for them. She's present for her children. They say she's a real good mother. The father is not absent in their life. The father is there. They're just not together. And then there's other people of different races in the neighborhood. So I was into the movie and I couldn't remember how many times she had called the police out just for those same reasons. That was unnecessary. The police was even getting tired of going out for that same reason. That was unnecessary. Even when the cops, like they had the body cam, and they was doing everything from the body cam. And he's like, yeah, we've been out before. We've been out before. She keeps calling us out. They keep coming. And it's the same thing. And then some of the stuff, like she's really like being extra about it. Like, oh no, they threatened me. They said this, they said that, whatever case may be. And the kids call her Karen. They're like, oh yeah, Karen across the street called you again. She said that one of the boys, now mind you, she's taking pictures and videos of everything. Like the kids playing, like her, like, okay, so her property is here. She has these like things that you can get from like the store to say no trespassing. She has them going down the line. The kids are on the other side. It's the big old grass and stuff. And they're playing football. They're playing, doing whatever. So she tells them they're trespassing and all this other stuff. One of the boys said, I'm going to go get my mama. She said, go get your mama. You know, basically like pull up on me, you know. So the mom says that she taught her kids to be respectful to adults. And then the police was like, okay, well, in the situation, kids are going to be kids. They're outside playing. They're having a good time. They're running around. They're just playing, just doing whatever kids do, So the police officer said, you know what? They could be doing worse. They could be out stealing or sitting up on social media or doing bad things, but they're just outside playing like kids do. He said, I remember when I was a kid, we used to be outside playing and we probably did some things in the neighborhood or whatever, but it's the fact that they're outside. So he told them, he said, just make sure, watch the kids, make sure they don't go on her property, whatever the case may be. So the kids are outside playing, she's video recording, all this other stuff. Something happened with her truck. She had a flat tire or something. Well, the police got called out to the tow yard because they were saying that this woman was like ramming her truck into the fence, into the gate, whatever the case may be. So when they pulled up the information, they found out it's Susan, right? Which is the lady's name. They go to Susan's house, knock on the door. Mind you, when they're knocking on the door, they're not being real gentle. I mean, they're not being real forceful, but they're not being gentle. They're like, bum, 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 and they hit it again. Then they go to her patio door. They bam on that door, and she's like, wait a minute. She opens up the curtain, right? Opens up the curtain, yells at them for knocking on her door. She don't know who it is. She's just screaming, like, stop knocking on my door, whatever. Remember that part, okay, y'all? So the police was like, your name's Susan, right? She goes, yeah, whatever. He said, where were you today? She said, nowhere, I've been home all day. He said, is that your truck out there? She said, yeah, that's my gray truck. He said, did you have it like backed up into a fence or did you do this or whatever? She said, oh, I had to leave today because I had a tire problem or something with her tire. So basically he said, okay, so you did leave today. You just said you didn't go nowhere all day. Now you're saying you did leave. She said, yeah. And then he said, can you come outside? She's in her pajamas, okay? And she was trying to stay covered up. She was peeking through the door. He wanted her to come outside. So he's talking to her and he said, did you mess up somebody's fence or something or whatever? So then she's kind of coming up with an excuse like, oh, okay, I guess I did leave. Well, she comes outside for a little bit. Then he said, well, I have to read you this based on the questions I'm going to ask you. And she said, okay. And then he starts telling her like, what is that? When you reading people their rights or something? But then she cuts him off and she starts going in the house. He's like, no, come on back outside or whatever. So she's like, I'm cold. I need to get something to cover up. So he follows her in the house and he's still reading her rights and stuff. She puts her coat, her jacket on, robe, whatever, comes back outside. And he said, do you wish to have an attorney present? She said, no. And he said, okay. And so then he said, the guy said, did you just say no? And she said, yeah. So he said, okay. Well, I'm going to go back to the tow yard. I'm going to have the guy show me the video of you at the tow yard. I'm going to come back and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. So then she said, oh, no, hold on. What did you say? What did you say? He said, no, you heard what I said. You heard what I said. He didn't say that, but he's like, no, you heard what I said. You told me no, that you don't wish to have an attorney present. So I can't talk to you about nothing else about this case. She said, no, hold on. I was touched by a person inappropriately. I was, beat up by a person inappropriately, and I just panicked. I didn't understand what you said. He said, no, you understood what I said. You told me no, so I'm going to do what I need to do, basically, from here. So I said, this girl is crazy as hell. So the cop get ready to leave. She came up with that excuse out of nowhere. And it could have happened. I don't know, but this is what she came up with. Cop gets ready to leave. Go do what he need to do, whatever case may be. Then the kids come back and she called the cop again. And she's taking a video where she takes a picture of this little kid, right? And she said he had a dog and was trying to put the dog in the back of my truck. And I went out there and I said, you don't need to be on the back of my truck or whatever. So she said, well, a dog? Well, the cop said a dog. And she said, yeah. So the cop was like, what kid did it. So she grabbed her phone and showed the cop the picture of the kid, right? Now she's taking all these pictures, all these damn videos. So that means she's always got her phone by her. So the cop said, well, how big was the dog? She said, oh, it was just a little dog. It was just a little dog. What kind of dog was it? Oh, I don't know. It was just a little dog. Later on, the police officer, when he got called back again, was asking, I don't know if it was a father, it was an adult that they were talking to. And he said, well, by the way, what's the kid's name over there in the red shirt? The guy was like, oh, I don't know his name. So he asked the little girl, he's like, hey, what's your brother's name? Tells the brother's name or whatever. Then it was like, does he have a dog? And they said, yeah, he has a dog. Like that. No. They said, does he have a little dog? And then the guy said no, but the little girl was saying yeah. No. The little girl was saying yeah. I don't know. I can't remember. I think he said little dog or something. But one of them said no, the other one said yeah. So then the police officer said, well, she said that he took this little dog and was trying to put this little dog in the back of her truck. The guy starts cracking up. He said, that is not a little dog. He got a big dog like this. He said, that dog is bigger than him. He can't pick that dog up, you know. So the police officer's laughing like, yeah, she sounds like she like, you know, exaggerates on a whole bunch of things and stuff, right? So they was asking about different things and stuff like that. Kids is playing in the yard on the side again. She's recording it. Then the little boy had an iPad and somebody has some skates. Well, she takes the skates and she throws them at the kids. Takes the iPad. The little boy wants his iPad back, right? He does what he's supposed to do. He goes home to his mom. He goes to his mom and he tells the mom, oh, fast forward, a lot of people in the neighborhood, they was like, oh, she called y'all back again. She always does this. She don't like kids, this, and that, blah, blah. So the neighbors was even over it. They're like, you know, this is too much. So anyway, the little boy goes and tells his mom that she threw skates at him and that they took her iPad. The mom goes over there. She's heated. And so she's basically like bamming on the door like, this is not happening. I'm tired of you. So she's bamming on the door. And the lady said, Susan says she was in the bathroom when she heard the first knock. Like it wasn't a soft knock. Then she said a couple minutes later, she heard the big bamming on the door. And she kept on saying, come out, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you. She said, I'm going to unalive you, I should say that. I'm going to unalive you, I'm going to unalive you. This is what AJ is supposed to be singing and screaming out, hollering. So old girl said, I was fearing for my life. I thought she was actually going to do it this time. I thought she was going to unalive me. And it's due to the fact that, you know, I've been touched before and this, that, blah, blah. And she's giving this like dramatic, you know, thing or whatever about what happened and why she did it. And so she said, I just grabbed my piece and I just, you know, pew through the door. So the police officer's like, how do you know it wasn't a kid? Or how do you know this, and that, or whatever case may be? So they basically like, because somebody was bamming at your door, you thought to pull out your piece. Mind y'all, I said earlier that the police was bamming on her door. Not only just her door, they went to her patio door, which is glass, and was knocking on that window as well. She didn't pull out her piece. So she knew who was at her door. So they take her in for questioning, whatever. And she's sitting there and she's talking about, yeah, she came over and the people were saying she had an umbrella and she was like waving it like she was about to hit the kids or something like that. So they was questioning her about the different things and stuff like that. She said, I was in the bathroom and I heard something. I heard the bamming. And I was fearing for my life. I got scared. I thought she's really going to do something to me. So in the moment, I just grabbed my piece and I just, you know, I just fired it off, you know. And the guy was like, oh, then she said something about the umbrella. They said, so you didn't have an umbrella waving it? She said, no, I didn't have an umbrella. You didn't throw the skates at the kids? No, I didn't throw the skates. I picked the skates up and I said, come on, guys, get this stuff out of my yard. And I took the skates and I just sat them down. I didn't throw them at anybody. I just set the skates down. Then they said, oh, we have different people that we talked to on different times. They said you had an umbrella out there threatening kids, waving at them. Oh, I did have an umbrella. I took it outside because I thought it was raining outside. I said, this motherfucker's crazy. You know if it's raining outside, stop it. Now all of a sudden you had an umbrella. You forgot that you had an umbrella. And then she said, oh, I don't know. So many things was just happening. I probably forgot that I had an umbrella. He said, you forgot that you had an umbrella? And she's like, yeah, I probably forgot. And they said, you throw the skates at the kids? No, I didn't throw the skates at them. I just sat them down. Other people say you threw the skates. She said, I don't know. I probably don't remember. All of a sudden, she don't remember. So, then they asked her something. Oh, they said, well, you need to tell us the truth about what's going on. And they said, is there anything on your laptop or your computer that if we go and look at it and we search, there's nothing that we can find or nothing about nothing? And she's like, nothing, nope. And they said, you know the stand your law rule or something for Florida or whatever? And she's like, yeah, I know about that because I see it on Facebook. I said, okay, so you saw it on Facebook. Did you search anything about it? She's like, no. I just saw where somebody got unalive because they were setting their ground because of X, Y, and Z, this, that. So they said, so you didn't just do this and think you could get away with it because you were searching things for stand your ground. She's like, no. Before they said that, she said, I know where y'all going with this. I know where y'all going with this. Y'all are going to think that I searched something on the internet to find out that I can get away with this and not get charged because of stand your law ground, whatever. So, you know, she's already giving herself away. And they was talking to her and stuff. The police officer was pissing me off because these fuckers kept on asking her, talking to her like she's a fucking toddler or a little 3-year-old, 4-year-old. And they went out the room and they said, if you want to write her a note saying, you know, write the kids a note because we can't let you see the kids. But if you want to write the kids a note, oh, hold on, y'all, I missed something. Sorry, hold on. When they kept asking her about telling the truth, right? They said, we're going to give you a chance to tell the truth because of X, Y, and Z and this and that. And to us, it looks like you searched it on the internet on how you can unalive this person and get away with it. She said, no, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I said, well, you know this person is passed away. And so, oh my, like she wasn't crying like that, but she put her head down and she's like, oh no, like, she just really put her head down like she was just so like devastated and all this other stuff or whatever. And then she lifted her head up and she took her glasses off and stuff. And it's like, yeah, this person has passed away. And she's like, I didn't mean for that. I didn't mean for that to happen. I didn't mean for that to happen. So they had this notepad and they said, you don't have to, but you can leave a note for her kids. Like, you know, apologizing or saying this or saying that, whatever. We're going to leave the room because we're going to arrest you for whatever. They leave the room. She puts her head down. She drinks her water. She finally picks up the notepad and she starts writing. She couldn't even, I mean, she stopped. Like, she was writing a little bit. Then she stopped and said, let me think about it. Then she was writing something else. And it was real quick. It wasn't even a long one. And she set it back down. Y'all, she quickly turned on their asses. They came back into the room to get her, right? They're like, we're charging you with manslaughter. You know, whatever case may be. And she was sitting there. She was looking at them. Both cops were on the side. She was looking at them. Then they said, okay, we need you to stand up so we can, you know, we're going to put handcuffs on you. We're going to arrest you. Take you to the other room. Get your mug shot, blah, blah, blah. This heifer sat in that chair. She's like, no. They's like, what? She said, no. They said, no what? She said, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. It's like, yeah, you're going with us because we're going to arrest you. She said, no. I'm not going with y'all. Don't touch me. Nope. And then one guy comes in. Okay, you don't have a choice. We're either going to do it aggressively or you're going to walk up. You're going to stand up, let us arrest you. She was still sitting there with her hands folded. And she's like, nope. And it's like, okay, Susan, so what's about to happen is we're going to arrest you. And we're going to take you into the other room. And this is what's going to take place. We need you to cooperate, okay? She's like, nope. what's going to happen is I'm going to have a heart attack. That's what's going to happen. If I stand up and y'all arrest me, I'm going to have a heart attack. They said, well, we have, medical assistance where we're going to take you to so they can look at you if you feel like you're going to have a heart attack. But right now we need you to stand up. She said, no, I'm not standing up. They literally was talking to her like she's a kid. If that would have been us, it wouldn't have been no damn choice. They would have been like, get your ass up. We're arresting you. We about to grab you. We about to tackle you. We about to X, Y, Z. And I hate to keep using that in a situation, but I know that in different situations that I've seen, it's been that type of situation. They was basically like, okay, whenever you're ready. So then the guy gonna come and he gonna say, so you just gonna sit there forever? She's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I know if I stand up, I'm gonna have a heart attack. Then the other officer comes in and he's like, well, we're about to arrest you, so we need you to stand up. And she's steady saying no. And they're steady sitting there talking to her like, what are we going to do, Susan? We need you to stand up because we're about to take you to jail and you're not cooperating. And she's like, I'm not going no fucking where. Now, what are y'all going to do? So finally, she switches again. And they say, if there's somebody you need to call, this, that, blah, blah. She's like, ain't nobody I need to call because I ain't going nowhere. I said, all y'all pissing me off. Finally, she stands up, put her hands behind her back, whatever the case may be. They take her to court, whatever. And the family is talking about justice for her and all this other stuff. Y'all, when I tell y'all I was crying like crazy, so what they did was when they was at the little boy saw he was right there with his mom, the one that went to go get his mom. He was right there with his mom when the lady powder, right? He started screaming, going to the neighbor's house. It's like, call 911, call 911. She shot my mom. He's crying, going crazy, They go back, he's crying or whatever. So the police officer calls the dad and says, can you come to your ex's house because your kids need you? The dad gets there. I don't know if it was his sister, girlfriend, or somebody, but it was another female there, with him. So he pulls up, he gets the kids, like, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay, whatever. The kids is crying. They're talking to the little boy, asking him what happened. He tells what happened. Then they walk the dad over there, like, we need you to come over here, like, get away from them, whatever. So when the dad goes over there, the female is by him, and she's basically like holding his hand and stuff. And you can't hear it, but evidently they told him that she passed away. And the kid's father just broke down. I mean, he really just broke down. And they was trying to move him out the way so the kids wouldn't see him. So once he got himself together, they was basically like, you want to tell him? He said, I'm going to tell him. I'm going to tell him, So he gets the kids from over there, from the crowd or whatever. And they go over to the side and he tells the kids and stuff. And y'all, it was like, oh my God, I cannot believe this. Like, that is the worst. Like, I've never lost a parent like that, but I was like, oh my goodness. And she had 4 babies, y'all. She had 4 babies. And then to tell them that their mother passed away, and they sit there seeing her laying on the ground, whatever the case may be. And so it was just real. And everybody was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then the other neighbor came out and she's like, I know you fucking lying. She's like, what? This beat her, going off and stuff. So when they were at the funeral and stuff, they were talking about the two older boys. The older boy was like sad that he couldn't protect his mom and, be there for his mom and stuff like that. The second one was upset and blaming himself because he was saying that had he not went and got his mom, she wouldn't have got unalived or whatever, And I'm like, just the thought of what those kids are feeling and going through. And she had 3 boys and 1 girl. And when the dad picked the little girl up, she just broke down. It was like, my mom is gone. Like, I just saw her, So that was really emotional. And I just like, oh my God, this is crazy. And some people were saying they couldn't watch it all the way. They couldn't watch the whole thing. I wanted to make sure that she got justice. I was like, nope, I'm about to see. I want to see what's going to be the turnout, you know, in this case and stuff. And so they had her back into the interrogation room, and they was talking to her about different things and stuff like that. And they said, so when, from the time frame from when she was knocking at the door, the window or whatever, knocking at the door, how long after that before you unalived her and called the police and this and that? She's like, oh, I don't know, such and such, whatever, whatever. I said, well, what were you doing? She said, I was in the bathroom, and then I came out and I heard her knocking. I was in the bathroom, and then I came out, I heard her knocking again, but it was louder, and she just kept on doing it. And they said, okay, what did you do at that point? She said, well, I was trying to find my phone. I couldn't find my phone. And they said, you couldn't find your phone? And she said, no, I was trying to find my phone to call y'all. So then she said she heard the knocking again, and she said, I heard her saying that I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you. So the police officer said, you heard that, or that's what you think you heard? Well, I think I heard her say she's going to kill me. And I was in fear for my life. I thought she was really going to unalive me, you know, this time, because she said it before. So I just knew this time was going to be it. And I was like, nope, I'm going to defend myself. And I just did the thing that I needed to do. He said, he pulled up the records. He said, well, you know, we keep records from the time you called to the time this, to the time that, whatever, whatever. And she's like, yeah. He said, from the time you called from the incident, it was like this amount of time. So you couldn't find your phone before. Now all of a sudden, between this time, you found your phone. She said, well, I didn't know where my phone was. I was looking for my phone. They said, okay, but with this timeline, it doesn't look like you did not have your phone. She said, oh, well, when I looked, it was right there. I found my phone. That's when I called y'all. And she called frantic, like crying, hysterically, just being dramatic, extra, you know. And basically, they was just like, we don't believe your shit. You about to be arrested. And she was just so nonchalant about it at first. Like, the kids playing in my neighborhood, X, Y, and Z. This is my thing. When you gonna move into a place, right? Now, this neighborhood was full of kids. Kids on the other side, and across the street. There was this one lady that was real, she was a real cool neighbor. And the police officers was asking her different things. Now, it's black, white, whatever, different races of kids standing there, right? And so she's standing there and talking to the police officer and stuff. And the police officer said, whose kids are these? She said, they all mine. She said, they're all my kids. And then she said, no, I'm playing. She said, my kids aren't here. But basically, these are the neighborhood kids. And that's how neighborhoods should be. Like, these aren't my kids, but they are my kids. Because I'm going to look out for all these kids, you know. So people was like, this is what kids do. And like I said, the police officer even said, you should be glad that they're out here playing in the yards and playing in the streets and doing different things and stuff like that. They play football in the grass area instead of being like on social media or doing bad things and stuff like that or whatever. Because they said kids are going to be kids, you know. My thing is this. Every place that I've moved to, I've scoped the neighborhood. Like, I've driven around during the daytime. If I seen a place I wanted to move to, I'm like, oh, I like that house. I'm going to see if I can see the inside, whatever the case may be. Then I would like come back. If I think, okay, I'm going to get this and I'm going to get that one, whatever the case may be, I think I'm going to move here. I scoped the neighborhood during the day, see how it was. I scoped the neighborhood at night, see how it was. I scoped the neighborhood through the weekend, see if there's kids, if it's like loud music, or if it's people hanging out late at night, or if people are leaving in the morning, and then when I go back that evening, if they're coming home from work, or whatever the case may be. So if you're a racist, because she was definitely that. If you don't like kids, because she definitely didn't like kids. Or if you don't like black people, don't move next door to them. Point blank, period. You live there. That was your choice. You could have packed your shit and moved and would have been good with life, whatever the case may be. But you chose to stay in that neighborhood with a bunch of kids, a bunch of black kids that you don't like. Then you should have moved around. I mean, period. You should have just definitely moved around. I don't understand why you would stay somewhere if you don't like children, and you know kids are going to be in the yard, kids are going to be playing, they're going to be loud, they're going to be kids, you know? Why would you continue to stay there? It makes no sense to me. You could have packed your shit and you could have left. Now this woman, she has, 4 kids. Like I said, I'm sure the dad, the grandma, because she has a support system, which is a blessing. So they are left to raise the children. I think the oldest looked like he might have been 12. He looked like he might have been 12. And the youngest one looked like he was probably about, I want to say 4 or 5, maybe. Maybe not even that old. Probably about 4. I don't know. But, you know, you left this woman, you left these kids without a mother, all because you didn't like what was going on or whatever the case may be and stuff. Oh, then they was asking her too about her calling them the N-word. And he was like, have you ever called any of the kids the N-word? Because she would cuss the kids out, call them all kind of names and stuff, right? And she's like, no, I've never called them the N-word before. I wouldn't do that. Oh, excuse me. I wouldn't do that, whatever the case may be. So then they said, we've had numerous accounts where different people have said that you've called them the N-word, or you've called the kids the N-word, and they've heard it, you know, the adults and stuff. And she said, it might have came out a couple of times or two. They said it came out a couple of times or two, you know, like that. And she said, yeah, I might have said it. And he said, so what would make you say that to kids? Well, I was taught that the N-word was people that are being rude. What did she say? People that are being rude, people that are not being respectful, people are something. She changed the whole damn thing up. Switched it up. And the guy said, well, you know where we're going with this, right? She said, no, hold on. Don't even say that you think that I wound up unaliving her because I don't like X, Y, and Z. And I did this on purpose. And I watched something on the internet showing me how I can possibly get away with this crime. I'm like, girl, you still telling on yourself. Keep on talking. Just keep on talking. I was like, oh my God, it was crazy. So long story short, her ass got charged. She got 25 years for unaliving this woman. She got manslaughter. I know damn well she ain't gonna last that whole 25 years. This happened in 2023. She got charged in 2024. So it's been a year. June 2024 was when she got charged. And Al Sharpton was in the documentary. And he was basically telling the kids, don't blame yourself. Your mother was doing what she's supposed to do as a mother, which was protecting her kids. Even the one chief of police or somebody, he got up and he was like, if somebody threw skates at my kids, I would be pissed off too. And you took my child's iPad. Like, what mother wouldn't retaliate or be upset? And then they was like, well, did she try to turn the doorknob, or did she try to do this or do that? No, she was just knocking. It seemed like she was knocking for a long time. They said, well, how was she knocking for a long time if she came over at 1 o'clock and then you called us at 1:02 and said that this woman X, Y, and Z? And then they basically, well, I don't think they said it, but they was like, did you record that? Why are you recording every damn thing else? She's like, no, I don't have no recording of it. Of course you don't, because you're full of shit. I was so mad watching this movie. I was like, I said, this is the problem that we have today. It's so crazy. It's so unfortunate. The world that we live in. And it's like, who gives you the right to take somebody else's life because you don't like the color of their skin? It is really ridiculous. It's really sad. And I'm glad that she got, that AJ got justice. I'm glad that old girl is sitting in jail, wherever. She looked like she was probably, I didn't even look to see how old she was, but she's like, older lady or whatever. But like I said, she ain't gonna make it 25 years, but, that movie is just a lot. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it. If you have watched it, leave in the comments and let me know what you think about the movie, and your opinion on it and different things and stuff like that. So just continue to pray for people. Continue to pray for our neighbors. Continue to, like I said, when I grew up, it's like, love thy neighbor. That's what we was taught, Everybody look out for everybody. Everybody look out for their kids. Everybody, do different things and stuff like that. My neighbor, she's raising her grandkids and stuff, and her grandson was a little bit younger, and he was the time frame, he had the bus and some after school activity or something, but she wasn't gonna make it home in time. So she wound up calling me and was like, "Are you at home?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm at home." And she said, "Can he come over there and sit, for a little bit till I get home? And otherwise he's gonna be sitting outside by himself." I said, "Of course." She said, "Make him do his homework." And I said, "Okay." So he came in. And I told him, I said, Grandma said come over here." He said, "Oh yeah, she just called me." So he came over and he sat at the kitchen table, and I said, "You want a snack and some water?" And I gave him a snack and a bottled water. He sat at the table, did his homework. I kept doing what I was doing around the house or whatever. Then when she got home, she was like, "I'm here." And I said, "Okay." So I sent her down. I said, "Your grandma's home." He wound up going home, and she thanked me or whatever. There was other different situations with other kids in the neighborhood where somebody's like, "Hey, Kiba, can she X, Y, and Z because the bus is supposed to do this and do that?" And everyone's like, I'm like, "Sure." That's what a good neighbor is supposed to do. That's what neighbors do when you look out for each other. Even with like Amazon packages and different things and stuff like that. Like we look out for each other and make sure that they get their package. If we think somebody's trying to grab it, we call them, let them know, or hey, that's not your package. I've traveled where I've called my neighbor and say, "Oh, I just got a package delivered. Can you go grab it?" She'll send her grandson down to get it. Those are the kind of things that I really like about neighbors, not the evil neighbors, the racist neighbors, the crazy neighbors. Yeah, you don't want nothing like that. Check your area before you go buy a house and see if you like it, or where you move to see what's in the neighborhood before you move to the neighborhood and wind up being the bad person in the neighborhood. All I gotta say. All right, y'all. I'm about to end this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I come on to run my mouth about whatever I want to talk about. Drop in the comments and let me know what you are sipping on. And if you watch the movie, until next time, y'all, Shrmjk is out. Deuces.